Hello, everybody. Welcome to the instructor webinar for Hospitality 115 Diet Therapy. My name is Justin Turpin. I was the instructional designer on this project. With me is Amy Carter. She developed this course. And today we're just going to take you on a quick, brief, general overview of the course just to help get you started. And I'm going to share my screen. So when you hop into your course, it's going to look like this. What I'm going to show you here is in the modules. This top area right here is the instructor resources module. And in here, there's some really important supports and links for you. So the first one is the instructor guide. Amy filled this out, and it has a lot of really great information for you, broken down by each module. But even before that, there's a checklist for before the semester begins. So if you're, hopping into the course for the first time and you aren't sure where to start, this kind of gives you that checklist to make sure that you tackle everything as it comes. There's a link in here for ASOM 7.5.2, which is the policy that guides online teaching. So it makes sense to get familiar with that, or at least to skim it and see if there's anything in there that maybe has changed since the last time you looked. We got due dates in here as well. These are suggested. Um, at the end of the day, it's up to you on due dates. So feel free to customize them, but these are the suggested. This is what most people end up doing, is they just follow the distance at due dates spreadsheet. You can see, welcome announcement, and then there's the module breakdown, which kind of breaks down each module for you. In here too, there's a report course issues button. This will pop you out into a Google form. If you run into any issue with the course, that could be a typo, that could be like if there's a link that doesn't work, if there's something in there that you think needs to be fixed, please fill out this form. That helps us track it to make sure that the issue gets resolved for future semesters as well, not just for your live section, but also we'll fix it in the master course. So that way, next time we copy it out, it won't be an issue anymore. So please fill this out. It will be taken care of. If you fill this out, we'll contact you, and we'll be able to take care of whatever issue you're running into. There's also a faculty survey here of the course design. We all want the courses to be in IvyOnline to be the best that they can be, and so in each IvyOnline course that you're going to be teaching, there's going to be a faculty evaluation of course design. Once you're finished with the course, if you could just fill that out, that would help us collect some data on the course design and help inform future development and projects. And at the same time that there's a faculty one, at the very bottom of the modules, there's also a student course evaluation. So if you could ask students to do that as well, that would be awesome as we try to collect our data on the course. A few other things on here. There's some instructor, like there's a template here for the post welcome announcement. Like that first announcement that you're going to do. So there's a template there you can use. And then there's also kind of suggested topics and ideas for your announcements here under the instructor module announcements. And then lastly, there's some instructions here for the live assignment. So one of the things that changed, I think, was for spring 2021. The introduction of the live Zoom meeting at the beginning of the course. It's optional for students, but it's a way for the instructors to meet people, meet people, the students in the course, and kind of give them a run through. The instructions are there for you, and then you'll see that there's also an item in the module, so that way students can see that it's coming up. And yeah, so that's that. Again, I'm Justin Turpin. If you do run into anything, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to ids@ivytech.edu. That's the catch-all for instructional design that goes to everybody on the team. So if you run into anything, you can always ask us. And then also Amy, I'm going to let her take over the screen here, and she's going to kind of take you through the modules more specifically. So Amy, to you.
Okay, thank you, Justin. So, as you mentioned, my name's Amy Carter, and I have been with Ivy Tech for about 15 years now. So, I've been teaching this class, and I also recently redesigned this class. Hopefully, I'll be able to share a little bit of insight with you. First, this is normally the very first course that people take in the Certified Dietary Manager program. So, you may get some questions along the way about that certificate. Typically, there will be information that we'll be sending out to add each semester or each time we roll out a course, or at a minimum once a year, about any changes that have been made to that program. There's a handbook as well that you should receive that will be placed within this course. So a few little things that do change from time to time. Since this is most students' first course, and sometimes they can move very rapidly, you may get a few more questions than others. But basically, as they go through the course, you're going to notice the modules are all set up very similarly. So you will be able to notice there's obviously only 8 modules. And so for most people teaching this course, it's going to be 1 module per week. And as you move through the modules, you'll notice that there are always a reading quiz, and there is almost always something that will work into the course project. So that's the way the course was designed, and you'll want to make sure as you move through the course that no one gets behind on this course project. A lot of times students will start a particular session and think, oh, well, that's okay, I'll just skip it. It builds and it will hurt their grade tremendously, also hurt their ability to kind of gain the insight that they need as they work through the certificate program. So I'll walk you through module 1 and then just point out some very quick highlights of things that you might want to see. So as you go through, this course will look standard to many others that you'll see. I've tried to make sure that all of the learning activities are linked on one page. Sometimes that's helpful for students. If you notice that there's a student who's going through and struggling with kind of getting everything completed, it might be nice to tell them to go back to the checklist, the sort of learning activity page, and really make sure that they've gone through all of the different things that are started here. You'll see certain things such as the slides, the readings, anything that might be attached here are just for information for the student. As you go through the knowledge check, that again is just in this course information for the student. There's always a discussion board. The discussion board usually has a couple of components to it. And then there's the project part. The very first week, it's sort of just creating the patient that they're going to fall through for the entire course. And like I said, there's always a reading quiz. So just walking you through what some of those look like. First off, these are resources that were created by the publisher. So all of the resources that you're going to find here, the PowerPoint slides are there because they were given to us along with the textbook. They should reinforce the main themes. Again, ANFP created all of these materials, and so we really want the students to use them because they also are the organization that oversees the accreditation and all of the certification exams. In your discussions, you're going to see some very basic things. Obviously, if you're looking at all to change any of your timelines or deadlines, you'd want to make sure to edit any of these. There are rubrics also that you can use for grading that are embedded. This one will have, for example, your introduction, but also has an assignment. Often you're going to get this, I don't have the textbook. And that's honestly going to be true because sometimes it's harder to get this textbook. Students often think that they can get the book from Amazon or from other sources. Really, the only way to buy it is directly from ANFP. Encourage them to use the IvyTech bookstore. Every single time I've got this class, it's been a huge ordeal. The bookstore has it, they'll get it for you. But people really are looking for a way to find it used other places, and that's very hard to come by. And it's not sold through other vendors. So you'll notice a lot of times in the course, I'll say, if you don't have your text, search the web. Make sure the students are keeping up to, you can do the first couple of weeks of assignments as best you can using the internet. They're going to fall really behind in the class if you don't keep them moving. So keeping the create a patient assignment, you'll see, is really just creating a patient. Very straightforward. They can submit that to you. It has an example, everything that they would need to see here, as well as the rubric, which is available for them. The reading quiz, again, it's going to be mostly multiple choice questions because that's what the certification exam is. As they're going through, it's completely up to you. A lot of times, I only let them take it once, but I'll let them do corrections. So again, that's completely up to you. They do need to master the content if they want to pass the certification exam. So whatever method that you use to help them get there can be very beneficial. Again, sort of always wrapping up with a reflection and a looking ahead. Um, so every module is going to look almost exactly the same. I think Justin covered this earlier as far as adding in the live module. Um, and when I've done mine in the past, I've typically asked them, do you feel like this would be helpful again to have another one? Some students say yes, some no. Sometimes people don't show up at all, and that's okay too. But definitely, I've had a good success when you get to really module 3, going into midterms, having a second one, really going over questions people have missed and helping with the course project. So I will say that I think it's very beneficial to offer another one, at least at midterm. You typically have people who have enough questions on the project that it's helpful for them. So again, I'm not going to go through all the modules. You're going to notice that they're going to look very similar. I did just want to take a moment and point out the course project because I think that's a really big component as an instructor that you want to be prepared for. There is no answer key for the project because people are going to surmise the project in a different way. Um, I know I've had that question before in other areas. If you have questions about how to grade or not understanding something, it's probably easiest to reach out to me. I'll be around probably. So just let me know and I can help out. It's, of course, it's going to be more helpful if you've worked in a clinical care setting, if you've had some of these, a dietitian, or if you've been a certified dietary manager in long-term care because that's what we're training people for. So as you go into the project, I'll just leave it in this mode, but you'll be able to notice that there's, it's a template. So they can start typing and they can enter everything as they go. Your goal should be that they turn this in this format that we've taught them and overseen the ability to put things in a professional manner because that's what this certificate is preparing them for. When they want to do a handwritten or send you something they typed in some word pad, no, they need to use the formatting. It's really important. They're going to go into their internship as a representation of Ivy Tech, and we need them to understand that this is the professional working world. So continue to encourage them to use the template. It's going to prompt them every week. Most weeks will look like this: review information. It will give them some prompts to enter some information, and then the key messages. If they, whatever they're being asked to do, we've tried to give them a little bit of formatting so that they can see what's expected. And every time they're changing a diet, again, there's day one, day two, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So you're going to notice that there's other resources within the module where it will tell them, and I'll show you in just a minute. But do know this is formatted. They can certainly make it longer. They should probably make it longer than this one-page formatting, but that's completely up to you. But at the end, this is the first 4 weeks, and then they're going to submit at midterm, and then they're going to create a new one. So they don't have to submit their work until midterm. If you decide you want to change that, feel free. It's just please don't take out any of the major components of the project because they're definitely linked into meeting all of the objectives of the course. So that's basically it. Again, I'll go through and just show you briefly as you roll through the course. You'll get module 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's kind of taking you through all of the things that I just showed you in terms of the project. There's just a new component. And then of course they submit here at the midterm. And module 5 is going to look very similar. Sometimes we get a few different learning activities in there, a few different things that we've thrown in there, some different resources that might be beneficial for them. I'll take you through that course project for 5 through 7 just to show you the difference. It's going to look very similar, but again, still talking points and still days of intake that they're going to change based on the scenario that you're presenting to them. So 5, and then week 6 turns into something a little bit different. This is probably the part that scares and troubles most. Again, might be a really good time to have another live session, help session if people need. It's just applying factors and equations. It's all the stuff in nutrition they are going to need to know. I always tell them, and I think this is in the course, you certainly can use an app, so don't worry if you need to Google it or look it up, but they'll want to make sure that they can do the math. And then the very last part of the project is actually just practicing documenting things. And if you'll notice, I've given a complete example of what it might look like at the top. So it should be hopefully very simple for them to follow along. So that's what the project is going to look like throughout the course. And again, there's a lot of multiple choice throughout the entire course. A lot of exams, a lot of things that we want them to kind of get practice taking those little multiple choice questions because that's what they're going to see. And then really the project is there to help them apply all of the concepts and you to give them feedback so that they feel really confident that maybe they weren't the strongest test taker, but they really learned it from using the information in the project. Both sides of that will be really important. So as we get to the very end, again, there is a final exam. The final exam is 100 points. It's 50 multiple choice questions. Should be pretty straightforward for them. And then that's it. I think that that's the main talking points of the modules. Again, I'll be around. I don't anticipate leaving Ivy Tech anytime soon, so you should be able to find me if you have any big questions. I'll be mentoring the course at least probably in the beginning. So if there's anything at all that you have questions about, it's super easy to get a hold of me typically. So um, I think that's all I was going to share today. So I'll turn
Yeah.
it back to Justin.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate that. And one of my favorite things about the course is the invitation to have that kind of formative feedback from the instructor along the way for that project. So, with the module 4 submission of the project and then the module 8 submission of the project, along the way, please remind students like, hey, if you have questions, let me know. Like, prompt them to do that, so that way you can have those great conversations of formative feedback. Before they're trying to get in for grading, you can have those beneficial learning conversations where they're going to be coming asking questions. So uh, I'll go ahead and stop. But we thank you guys for coming. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please ask. We're here to support you, and we want you to be successful. So, with that, I'm going to stop the recording, and good luck with your semester.